back with another episode of the Filmaholic. I'm Matthew, and we have Ethan here. Today we're going to be doing a top 10 list of the decade for scenes. Top 10 favorite scenes of the decade. We're not going to really put these in order. It's just a list of 10, and we'll tell you which one is our favorite. And then we're also going to be talking about our honorable mentions. So to kick things off, Ethan, why don't you tell us your honorable mentions for your favorite scenes of the decade?
All right, so my 5 honorable mentions, like I said, they're probably going to be some of your actual lists, but we'll get there. So my first one I have is Blade Runner 2049 with Rick and Kay talking inside the hotel or the casino. After the shootouts, come in there, just have a drink with a dog, and some of the best dialogue of the movie. Him learning about Rachel and all the past and why Rick left and everything. Just Harrison Ford at his best.
It didn't make my list even in the honorable mentions, but it did make my, when I was like trying to think of all the scenes that were my favorite of the decade, that was on there. It's an incredible scene.
It just made my list before we started talking.
It's because I mentioned it.
Yeah, I changed it back. It was lower down, but I was like, oh yeah, that one is really good, so it's coming back. Next honorable mention is Hell or High Water, the final scene with Jeff Bridges and Chris Pine. I thought it was going to be higher, but
I'm really surprised it wasn't.
It might later, but some of these other ones, it really got me when I was thinking about them more. But yeah, like I say, another dialogue-driven film and just some of the best from Taylor Sheridan. 13, have Lady Bird, the Give Me a Number scene with her arguing with her parents. Mostly her mom. She's kind of fed up at this point, and she told him to give her a number for what she owes her, and she'll pay her back so she doesn't ever have to speak to him again. I can't imagine any kid not experiencing this. Now, I doubt they say it, but they definitely were thinking it at some point in their life. Tell their parents that.
It's a solid scene. That's one of my favorite screenplays, probably of all time, is Lady Bird. Not my favorite, but definitely if we make a list at some point with favorite screenplays, that's probably all in there. But unfortunately, like there was no scenes from the movie that did crack my honorable mentions.
That one always stands out to me. Like I say, I just super relatable. Like I say, I can't imagine any kid not feeling that at some point. So I'm glad it was put in there. The next honorable mention is from The Dark Knight Rises. It's the first fight that Bane and Batman have, where Bane's fully in control. He figures out which will break first, his spirit or his body. Tom Hardy, just like the Joker, is just stole the whole movie, and this is one of his best scenes. Like I said, it's probably on your list overall, but this is in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's why I'm not talking too much about it yet.
But my last honorable mention is from Avengers: Infinity War, when they're on Titan. I'm not sure how to break it down completely, but the part I have is mainly with Thanos talking to Iron Man after he kind of stabbed him. He told him, I hope they remember you. So I say Josh Brolin, just one of the best performances of the decade.
I agree. It should have got a supporting actor nomination.
He was cheated. But that scene right there it was close with my actual one of mine in my top 10, but it was an honorable mention for that one.
Well, for my honorable mentions, like I'll go ahead and say this one because it's also Thanos is the opening of Infinity War. It's on my honorable mentions. Like I know I want to do a top list at some point of like movie openings in general, and this will definitely be on the list. I already know. It's like the opening of Infinity War is just so incredible. It just like sets the mood for the rest of the film and like lets you know what you're about to get into. And, like Thanos is, fucking shit up, and like it just sets this tone and it introduces him. We've already seen him, but not in this glory, as he is in Infinity War. We've seen him a little bit differently in like Guardians and a scene in the the Avengers, but this really sets things up. His quote, his like dialogue is awesome. Beats up Hulk, shows you how powerful he is, and like kills Loki. So he kills like a main character right off the bat. Just an incredible opening. So I have that on there. Also have another opening that is one of my favorites, and that's the opening of The Dark Knight Rises with Bane crashing the plane. Just incredible. One of the best like just set pieces like that I've ever seen. And especially watching like some behind the scenes stuff, how they filmed that scene with the plane actually like having that in the sky and like using practical stuff for that. But the dialogue from Bane and his performance too, like you were saying, it's like it's not as good as Heath Ledger's, but it's up there to me on par as far as villains go, and it's just so like memorable. Like I remember us seeing that in theaters for the first time at IMAX, and how it just stands out. So I have both of those on honorable mention. I also have another Blade Runner 2049. It's a different scene though. I know you'll end up, I think, have this in your top 10, and that's the I Have Millions scene.
Just your honorable mentions?
This is my honorable mentions, yes. It was hard not. This was a hard list. It was hard not to put that one in my top 10 because I love that scene. It's a scene with Deckard and Wallace. It's the only scene they have together in the film, and the dialogue is great. The aesthetic of the scene, the score, the visual effects, the de-aging technology and stuff they use in that scene is awesome. But just that line, you don't have kids, do you? No, I have millions. Like,
and then where the score drops with that too.
Yeah, it's chilling. So I have those three. I have the Kylo Ren versus Luke fight in The Last Jedi, which is pretty much the ending of the film. One of the main reasons I put this in my honorable mentions and not on my top is because it's kind of hard to break this scene down of like what you consider the actual scene here, because it cuts back and forth between the stuff with Kylo and Luke, and the Resistance and them, and that's not really what I'm talking about. It's really, for me, it's when the moment Luke steps out on Crate, out into the open to when he fades away. That to me is the scene that I'm talking about, and him facing Kylo, and Kylo's anger and how much he hates Luke for blaming him for what happened and all this, and then Luke ended up not being there, and Kylo's reaction to that. I just think all that is really incredible. And that scene and several of the other scenes in that film, the more I watch it, the more it makes me like that film just for these scenes alone. And the last one that I have on my honorable mentions is one that I definitely thought was going to be in my top 10. And I tried to go back, and I think I did for all of these that I have on my list here, go back and rewatch them, the particular scenes, to see how I really felt about them. And that's why this one ended up moving down for me, just because comparing it to the other films, I didn't like it as much as those, but I still love the scene. And that's the bar fight in 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, with Dixon's character, or Dixon and Sam Rockwell's character. It's after he thinks he's found the killer, and to get evidence, or the DNA, he scratches the guy's face and then gets beaten up. And just like Sam Rockwell's performance in that scene, along with the music playing in the background, I love it so much. But that's my 5 honorable mentions.
Yeah, I thought that was going to make your list, but
it was hard not to put them. It was hard not to put several of these. That one, the Thanos opening, the
Thanos opening is in my 10.
Okay. Well, why don't you go ahead and start talking about that then?
That was the one that I had to switch with I Hope They Remember You. Those were the two where I had to rewatch them to figure out which one I wanted to actually be in there. But it, like you said, it sets the entire tone for the movie. You've never really seen Thanos at this point for what he can do. You're just seeing little clips
Right.
here and there, like in credit scenes. But like I said, at this point, he just comes in full force and just, like I said, kills Loki. But then the main thing for me is that you beat up the Hulk, which has never happened.
Right.
I mean, Ebony Maw was like, "Y'all let him have his fun." I mean, at that point, you knew this was real. Like, this isn't a real fight. Like, he's talking about just let him have his playtime right now. But Josh Brolin, like I say, Chris Hemsworth in that scene, just as good. Finds out, his brother's dead for real.
Right.
It's not a game anymore. No more resurrections.
And we see the actual the Infinity Gauntlet with some of the stones in it and its power
Yeah.
right off. Which we hadn't seen or knew anything about really, other than them being out there.
Which, like, from the trailer, I thought the first thing you were going to see was him getting the Infinity Stone from the planet in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they just skipped that and went straight to this.
I'm glad too. Yeah.
The same effect.
So that's one of yours. So I'll go ahead and jump to another one for me that's related to Marvel, and that is the scene from Avengers Endgame. It's the final snap when Tony says, "I am Iron Man," does the final snap, and followed, because I consider this, it's all the perspective of what you consider the one scene, and I consider this one long scene with him doing the snap, followed by him dying. And as much as that hurts to watch, I rewatched it today and I started tearing up. Like it's so impactful. It really is. Like,
you know it's coming, but you still aren't ready.
No.
That is another one in my top 10 too, so we can talk about it a little longer.
What gets me so much about that scene, because I mean, obviously him snapping is epic. It's something you've been waiting all these movies, and it's for this final battle here between him and Thanos. But what gets me so much about the scene is him and Pepper, and her telling him, we're going to be okay. And whether that's she's talking about Earth and everybody in it, or if she's talking about her and Morgan.
I took it as more her and Morgan.
I did too, but I mean, I feel like you could take it either way. And
yeah, she's like, "Oh, you can rest now." Like,
yeah, and I was like, "Oh God." They're holding, she has her hand here on his chest, and he has his hand there, and then when he's gone, it just falls to the side. And how gently she pushes Peter away too. I'm like,
yeah. Well, that's how it starts off too, is with his father figure. Like Peter comes over, and he's apologizing and all this. Like, oh man. But then, like I say, yeah, she doesn't force him out or anything. Just just calmly pushes him to the side, and it's oh, you can rest now. Like, oh man, it's about to go out. No more power. Like I say, that's all mine. I don't know. Like you said, I'm not sure where you split it up, because obviously the entire fight isn't one scene. But to me, it's made to feel that way.
Right.
As soon as the trio get back up and start fighting, like at that point, it all seems like the same scene, just cutting in between. And honestly, I was thinking about it today, like how different it would have felt if all of that was shot to make it look like one shot rather than have all the cuts.
Yeah.
Like I would have liked to see something like that, but that's in there. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it, the snap, the final, Tony Stark's death, whatever you want to call it. But that'd be my top 10. It's high up there. Not really ranked, but as far as I put like what I liked over, there was only a few I liked more than that scene.
Yeah, it was high up on mine too. Like I didn't necessarily rank them because I don't want to definitively say what my 10 would be, because I don't really know, but I did have it up there. That was like number 4 when I was putting them down.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was pretty high. Do you may go next, or you want to mention one?
Was that mine or yours?
That was mine, but you said it was on your list too, so that's.
Well, I mean, you can go if you want. That was my team.
Well, I'll go ahead and say one that you said was on your honorable mentions, and that's the first fight between Bane and Batman, where Bane breaks the bat.
Yep.
Just an incredible fight scene, and the dialogue, like the way Tom Hardy delivers that dialogue of Bane, just gives me chills every time. And like, I feel like the darkness we felt with Infinity War, how that movie ended with Thanos winning. You know, Bane doesn't overall win in this film, but he wins in this fight, and I feel like that kind of gives you the same feeling at the end of this fight. With him breaking the bat, I thought it was incredible. The reveal, just like straight up at the beginning of the fight, he just calls Bruce Wayne out, like, you know, that he knows who he is. And you see Catwoman's reaction. She didn't know. She's like, you know, yeah, I don't know. Just everything about that was incredible to me.
But I remember walking out of the theater, and I knew I liked that one more than Batman Begins. But it took you quite a while.
Yeah.
You were like, nah, no way. Like, yeah, you give it the respect it deserves.
It's a 5 out of 5 for me. I think it's perfect.
4.5 right now, but I haven't watched it in years.
It used to be a 4.5 for me until I rewatched it. I love Bane so much. I know some people have problems with like the voice, and I know there's plot holes in the film. I can understand that. It doesn't bother me though. Like, it doesn't take away from my enjoyment, and I love the movie. Every scene with Bane is just so memorable to me.
Yeah, like at the end, like when he's completely shocked that, you know, Batman made it out. Yeah, I'm not the one that made the climb. Like, oh, what?
And his like just full rage. It kind of goes back to, you know, how he was talking in this fight about, you know, Batman giving it all, you know, and not holding anything back. That's what he ends up doing at the end, and kind of like cost him.
Yep.
So it comes back.
Fight like a younger man, nothing held back. Man. But yeah, so I just love like the lighting in it too. Like, it's not like pitch black, but it's dark enough to you don't focus on anything but those two characters.
The sound design is really good in that scene too. But each hit, you feel it. You feel each hit in that movie.
Batman felt each hit.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's for sure. But I guess the next one on my list I have is Drive. And the one I chose was the elevator scene towards the end of the movie. Just a perfect scene overall. You've got just leading up, the lighting in the elevator, just fantastic with the orange and the yellow. You've got, you know, just so much mixed in with the scene. You got like a perfect Hollywood kiss, like all this tension between him and her, and then the random guy, and then you've got, you know, a brutal fight scene right after, just out of nowhere.
The lighting's really good too.
Yeah, it starts off, like I said, the yellow and the orange, and then when they kiss, it goes darker. And then when they stop, he just starts beating that guy to a pulp and stomps his head in. There's so much mixed in. Perfect scene, though.
And I love the ending of it, too, where the door opens, she steps out, and she just looks at him.
Yeah, just scared.
As this monster, yeah.
I don't know what you expected. But, I mean, yeah, she, you know, and he just stares at her because he knows that, you know, he's never going to be with her now.
Right.
Yeah, man, I could watch that scene just for the length of the movie.
It was on my long list. It didn't make my overall, but it was on my long list, yeah. The next one I'm going to mention is one that I know is not on your list, and that is the scene from Django Unchained.
Not on my list.
Yeah, I know. The one where he's like, it's right after they've made the deal, and Leo's character insists on shaking hands, and I love it because, you know, he doesn't want to do it.
Big mistake.
He wants out of there. Hey, fuck this guy, and Leo's like, yeah, he keeps insisting. So eventually, you know, he's like, you really want to shake my hand? And he just kills him. He's like, you know, like you know, he knows it too. He looks at Django. He's like, I couldn't do it. Pretty much, like,
couldn't resist.
yeah, like I would rather stand here and kill this guy and get killed myself than actually shake his hand. I just could not live with it. And I was just like, that's standing up for what you believe in. I love it so much.
Choice right there. Because I probably would have just shook his hand and killed him later.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna kill him, but
just wait a bit.
I want to get out alive at this point. Like that scene, it was on my long list, but also the other scene that probably would have made it higher was the dinner table scene.
That scene's incredible, just because of the acting. But I just love that he would just killed him. It was like, nah,
not standing a chance.
Yeah,
because like before that scene, you just embarrassed him, because you were talking about the Three Musketeers, and you named all your fighters after them. Soft-hearted Frenchie. Like, nah, he was black. Just embarrassed him in front of everybody. So
yeah,
might as well kill him too.
So yeah, what's your next one?
The next one I've got is From the Edge of 17. It's towards the very end of the movie. It's where Nadine, she had just got into a fight with her brother, about how, he doesn't care about her, he only cares about himself, and she finds out that he's been there the whole time, really. But she comes home and she wakes him up and, like, she just explains to him, she hates how she feels, how she sounds, how she looks, and oh man, I've never cried during a movie, but that was one of the scenes where it's.
Oh man,
that's just me, but like that is one of the scenes where it just comes close every time. Well, I mean that movie, like Three Billboards, other like random scenes like that I would put in here, but that one's up there as far as. That's close to a tearjerker as it gets. It's just another. It's like Lady Bird. It's like I can't imagine, like everybody having to relate to this. Like it's like she says, I look outside and look at myself like it's I hate the way I look and the way I sound. She's like, and I'm afraid like it's never gonna get different. It's like, oh man, let's change the scene. We gotta have something funny right after this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scenes that I've watched that's like messed me up. I mean, the scene with Tony dying, that got, and there's another scene we're going to talk about here, I think, on both our lists. That's definitely going to be on that I'll talk to about it when we get there. But the next scene I want to talk about is one that you already talked about in your honorable mentions. It did make my top 10. It was lower on the top 10 list, but it did make it, and that's the Give You Peace scene, the ending of Hell or High Water. Like you said, it was dialogue driven. I rewatched it. Love the dialogue there, exchange between Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges. The performance between them two was incredible, and I love that line. Like, come by and it's like, I'll give you peace. Oh, maybe I'll give you some. Like,
man,
just
what a thing to say.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, I just kept thinking about it too. After that, it's like, I wonder what happened.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either. It's like the whole ending of Three Billboards, but
yeah.
It's curious.
Like I said, that one's on my honorable mention, but like I said, if I went through them, and like I said, I watched most of the scenes, but if I watched the entire movie, it might be different. Like, it might bump up.
Yeah, especially for something like that, because it's the ending scene. So, like, rewatching the whole thing might impact you differently.
Because that one, there's a lot of scenes in that movie I love. I like the one. It's like a quick moment, not really a scene, but it's right before his brother dies. Where they get out of the car and neither one of them wants to say I love you, but like just that relationship with them two, like that's
the brothers, yeah,
really good. Then you got the one with Chris Pine and his son. Like I like that in the backyard, but that whole movie is just fantastic.
Yeah, I really like the scene too with the Dr. Pepper.
Mr. Pibb, trying to piss me off.
What else we got here? The next one the next one I'll talk about is one that I know is on your list, and that is the deer scene in Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
That was my next one.
That is it's my favorite scene of the movie now. It was my second favorite, but it's moved up my favorite. Rewatched it, and it's a short scene too. It's only like a minute, so. But brings tears to my eyes. Rewatching it, it's tough.
That's another one that gets close.
Like, just talking about her daughter, and just messes me up.
What's you've had a character who's been, I guess, tough the whole movie, and she finally lets her guard down with a deer, because she's like, oh, are you supposed to be my daughter? It's like, oh, as pretty as she was, like, oh man, here we go. Letting down her guard,
Yeah.
Man, it's definitely my favorite scene in the movie. I mean, a lot of people complain about it sometimes. Like I've seen, especially like when it came out, like talking about like the weakest scenes, like they were putting that in there. I was like, man, what are you talking about?
I don't know how you get that as a weak scene.
Well, I don't know. Like to me, that's my favorite scene in the movie. But like talking about, what if they were going to cut any scene, like it could be that one. Like, nah, not.
I don't think so at all. No,
not even close. Like I say, that is one of, if not the only time she lets her guard down at all.
You see it a little bit with Woody Harrelson, not to the same extent, but like just like seeing some cracks in her when he sneezes on her.
But that's only because she's like her motherly instincts kicked in.
Right. Yeah.
Which I don't know how I would react in that scene because like he's being pretty brutal to her right before that happens. I don't have that the whole movie, but like I say, there's just a few scenes that stand out. Like I told you, the scene with that scene almost made the cut. The scene where he kills himself almost made the cut for
that one is another one that brings. I can't say a dry eyed watching that scene. Every time I'm like, oh, man, I gotta look away. Like,
because like he goes out there and he's just Oscar Wilde and just throws on the mask and you know what's about to happen.
Yeah, and just the letter to his wife, like, because think about being in that position, like what would you do in that position? Would you take that way out, or would you, let your loved one see you?
Absolutely, I would.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like even like not even the letter; it's like the little thing, like the letter on the mask, like don't open the bag, because it just phoned the boys.
Yeah,
man.
Well, and then they follow that up later with the letter to her character, Frances McDormand's character.
Yeah.
Because that gets me too. I'm like, that the whole movie is just so incredible because like the way that it can evoke your emotions like that. The fact that
I hope they don't kill you.
Yeah. That he paid for those billboards, I
wonder how his wife felt about that. Like when she saw the bank account, like, what is this? Like, you're lucky you killed yourself because we'd have a conversation right now about this. But the bar scene you had, that was close to my honorable mentions because you just you think you've got it figured out. He takes a beating, and then the scene with the guy who replaces Woody Harrelson, like after he finds out, oh, I found my badge, and just puts it down. Like, oh man. I'm going to change my list to just 3 billboards. The entire,
just the whole 10.
Like, I'll go through. I'll change them real quick. Just the entire 10 plus the 5 honorable mentions. Just 15 scenes out of 3 billboards.
When we do a list of favorite screenplays, that's definitely gonna be on my list too. It's definitely in my top 5 favorite screenplays of all time.
Like if I was thinking like right now, it's probably my 3rd favorite.
I'm not gonna say a number, but
from what I'm thinking right now, like it's, it would be in my top 5, but I'm thinking 3 right now.
Just the dialogue, the story, the characters, they're all it's just incredible on every level. And I wasn't sure how I felt about it the first time I watched it. I knew I loved it, but as far as like the ending, I wasn't sure how I felt, but I love it more each time now because I'm like, I don't want to know what they did. Yeah. I have what I think happened, but I'm glad I don't know for sure.
I think they got there and turned it around.
Yeah, I don't think they actually killed the person, but
I mean, I
maybe,
know
maybe they did.
a lot of people dislike the movie because of that reason.
Yeah, I know. I've
I
seen
want, I
some
want to
people.
know what happened. Like, no, I don't want to know in this case. Like some movies, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
But in this case, like it could change my opinion of both characters at that point. Maybe he definitely deserves to die, for sure.
well, definitely. Yeah,
For sure. Like you already admitted, to raping and burning a girl. So I don't care which girl it was.
Well, that's what Sam Rockwell's character says. He's like,
Yeah.
definitely a rapist.
Yeah, he's not your rapist, but he's definitely a rapist. So, like, yeah, you're right, buddy. Let's go ahead and take him out of the game. But it's like you said, the whole movie just builds up. Like Woody Harrelson mentions that at one point, like, oh, it's dumb luck. Some guy says it in a bar. Like, it's like, all right, we got it figured out now. No, not that guy.
Which I don't know for sure, because part of me, definitely the first time I watched it, I wished that it was him.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it not being now. Like,
yeah, now I am. But before, it's like the first time you watch it, you expect it because it's like, all right, well, Woody Harrelson said, he admits to it. Like, oh no, nope.
You want everything to line up. You want all the dots to line up. But I guess that's life, So
That's it. Yeah, it doesn't work out that way.
yeah. What's your next one? I know 5 left.
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about mine. It was lower. The Avengers Endgame was the next one I had.
Okay.
But we talked about that. But the one after that I have is Blade Runner 2049. That you had I have Millions.
Okay.
Favorite scene of the movie, hands down. Like you said, the lighting, the score. Just I think this is Harrison Ford at his best.
I agree. I think he should have got a supporting actor nomination for it.
I think Sylvia Hoeks was the best part of the movie, in my opinion. Hands down. Like you need to rewatch it and focus on her.
I would say the third best performance, but
oh man, oh that's brutal.
I think Ryan Gosling's performance in this film is definitely underrated. I mean, I know he's my favorite actor, but like looking at his movies, like I just think his performance in this one is so incredible.
Out of the 4, he's actually on the bottom for me, just because of how good the other ones are. Like it's not taking
out of the 4. Who are you putting him under?
Harrison Ford and Ana de Armas and Sylvia Hoeks.
What?
Like it's not saying anything bad about his performance because but it's one of his top 3 performances. Like whichever way you want to dice it. But I just thought that movie, like Sylvia Hoeks, she just surprised me. Like the first time I watched it, I liked Ana de Armas the best, and I rewatched it. I'm like, nah, this Sylvia Hoeks is just the subtle acting she gives off. The scenes with Robin Wright. But yeah, Harrison Ford, like in that scene, I think that's the best acting I've ever seen from him in that scene. But you got Jared Leto, who doesn't disappoint with creepy villain. And like you said, it's got the emotional value because you bring Rachel back, and Harrison Ford is her eyes were green. Like,
I love that line. Yeah.
Wow, man! Like you just see the woman you love again. Like you could have another chance with her if you just give up the information they want. It's like, nah,
it's not her though.
It's not her. Like even though she was a replicant, you can't recreate that. Everything about her though. Like it's simple things like, oh, her eyes were green. Like,
and the brutality too. After that, they just like shoot
right
in the head.
Right in the head. Like, and then that's all. That shows you what kind of person Neander Wallace is, but also what kind of person love is. He doesn't even care about her own kind.
Yeah.
Just that.
That's why I've read that she's, and I guess I agree with this. She's the real villain of the film. It's not really Wallace.
Yeah, because like he doesn't know that she can lie to him.
Yeah.
So really, she's deceiving him. No idea what she's done. So like at this point, he thinks that they can't lie. They've got to do whatever. Like nah, she's like we're past that at this point. But yeah, that's right there. That oh man, just perfect.
The next one I have on here, because it's lower down than the other one, so I'm gonna go ahead and mention it. Is the ending of La La Land, the what if montage type scene.
That's my next one.
Uh, Mia comes in with her new husband, and they stumble upon this club, which is now Seb's, and he's there, and they look at each other, and they have this look, and then we see the whole movie played out again, but if things had went differently.
Yeah, if they'd have been together.
And one thing I think so great about the scene is, and when I was taking screenwriting in college, Fausto was talking about how a great scene is a scene that can stand on its own. And this one, I feel like 100% can, because it tells this whole story in this one scene. Like, you don't, even if you don't watch the whole movie, you can see this, like, this short film within itself of a couple or an old couple stumbling upon each other, and then like thinking about their relationship and things that went differently. And then, the fact that in that scene they have a kid and all of that. And then it ends and they look each other again.
Just smile.
Yeah. And then they go separate ways. And it's beautiful, I think.
That's another one that people are split on. Like, maybe not anymore, but I remember when it came out, like, oh, this is garbage ending. Like, they're supposed to be together. Like, that's not how it goes.
No.
Like, I mean, like, yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Like, that was the point of the montage, though.
That's what I was like when I watched it the first time. I was hoping that was real.
Yeah.
The montage. I was like, oh man, I hope this is like how it actually ends, and like, they had a kid and they ended up together. No, it didn't happen like that.
No.
And it didn't take it away from me. I was like, oh, okay, like that's what happened. It was beautiful, and I loved it.
Well, earlier, when they, they weren't really together, but they weren't really breaking up. She was like, oh, I'm always gonna love you. But yeah, I mean, doesn't mean you're gonna end up together. That's how it goes. I was disappointed he didn't name his bar Chicken on a Stick.
He named it Seb's because that's where she said.
I don't care what she said. I don't care what she said.
I'm glad he named it Seb's.
Well, nobody's coming to a place called Chicken on a Stick.
No.
That was her point. It's not happening.
You don't know what's going on. I think you think it's like just a fried chicken restaurant.
But yeah, that one, like I said, it surprised me when I watched it, but now like that's another one I could just throw on just to watch the scene. Like, I don't have to watch the entire movie. Like, all right, well, I got 2 minutes real quick. Let me just watch this.
But I was watching the scene though, and I was like, I wanted to go back and watch the movie. It's my fourth favorite movie of all time. So like, watching a little bit of it, I'm like, I want to go back and just watch this again. More hours in the day.
Skip work.
Well, you said that was your next one?
That would have been the next one I was thinking about.
You can go ahead and name another one. We got 4 left apiece.
I've got 3. If you
want, I have 4. So let me go ahead and say one then, I guess.
Well, don't say the 2 that we have in common.
Okay. The next one, and I know this one's on your list, is the ice cream scene in Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh, that's a surprise. I didn't expect that one.
That one's high up there for me. I was thinking about that movie because I know it's one of my favorite films, and I was thinking about the scenes from it, and I rewatched that one, and it just really gets me. Him saying that he wanted to do something with his kid that the kid will always remember, and it's trying ice cream for the first time.
Yeah.
It's the scene, and I just consider that one scene, but it starts with him talking to her about that, and then it cuts, then it goes to them and him giving the kid ice cream and the kid reaction to it and his reaction laughing with that, and then them taking the photo and her starting to cry in the photo.
Yeah.
Both because of what happened, and I feel like because also she knows they're not going to be together, and just the brokenness of it all, and then also knowing what happens later in the film. I don't know. I just think it's beautiful, and like the whole film itself, but especially the scene, is very realistic. Yeah, just really gets me.
I haven't seen that movie in years, so
I mean, man, you need to rewatch it.
yeah, I remember that scene. Like, say, I loved everything about it. Like Bradley Cooper, later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been years since I watched that movie. I remember I was in the theater. I was mad when I watched it. I was like, "What is this?" Like,
I was too, because I mean, I thought it was a Ryan Gosling movie.
Nowhere.
Third of the way through the film too.
Yeah, because you're like, "Oh man, is he okay when he fell out?" No.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna get back up, and I was like, "Oh man, his eyes they're still staying open."
He's not okay. Yeah, he's not going to be in any kind of sequel to this movie. That's for sure. But yeah, it's been a long time since I watched that one.
Yeah,
I think I have it. Yeah, so I mean, I could rewatch it later.
Yeah, I have it.
Might be on my list after that.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, the bike's part of the family.
I watched that scene too because I was watching other scenes from the movie after I watched that one, and how much I love that scene. And so I started watching a few more, and the scene with Ben Mendelsohn taking the bike apart.
Yeah.
Because he knows what's going to happen. If he keeps doing this, he's going to either end up dead or in jail. So
I love that quote too.
Yeah, that's which in that scene with him before he takes the bike apart. When the music playing in the background, it's a great scene too. Because then also like it's like a whole montage thing, and then like, it also cuts to Ryan Gosling's character coming to Eva Mendes and giving her the money. He's like, I'm his father. I can give him things. Like, give him this for me. Tell him it's for me.
Ride like lightning. Crash like thunder. Ben Mendelsohn.
Which actually, we have two movies on these lists that what put Ben Mendelsohn on the map too. At least for me, was The Dark Knight Rises, which I always forget that he's in that movie.
For a little while, he's in that movie.
Yeah.
He gets taken out quite severely.
But then Place Beyond the Pines the next year after that.
Yeah, I think those are the first two I remember.
And Killing Them Softly, which came out in 2012.
Those are the first two I remember.
Killing Them Softly, underrated movie. You need to revisit it too.
I would rather watch Ready Player One with him. So good. Love the nostalgia in that. I know you don't like it, but I could watch that movie all the time with Ben Mendelsohn.
Before Blonde comes out, you need to go back and revisit Killing Them Softly because it's the same director.
Do you have anything else I need to watch?
That's all I would say. I mean, you could watch the Jesse James movie because he made that too, and a lot of people love it. I wasn't that big a fan.
The Assassination?
Yeah.
Jesse James? Yeah, I've never watched it, so it might be.
Brad Pitt's really good in it, like always, but like I don't know, you're really following. I think it's Robert Ford.
Yeah.
Casey Affleck's character. So like even after the assassination, you keep following him, and I don't know, it just wasn't for me because of that, I guess.
It's nearly 3 hours too, isn't it?
It's very long. And I don't know, maybe it wasn't. I felt like it went on like an hour after Brad Pitt's character was dead.
Yeah, I might have to watch it because I need to knock it off my list anyway.
Yeah.
I like Westerns more than you do, so maybe I like it a little bit better.
Yeah.
No culture in real life.
Yeah. Okay, so we got 3 left, right?
I know two of them are the same.
Okay, go ahead and name the one that's not the same.
Well, that's my favorite one.
Okay, we'll go ahead and talk about the one. You know what my favorite is, so we'll go ahead and talk about the other one. Yeah.
Bruce Breakers, the pool montage. Right. Underrated movie altogether, but never did I think I needed James Franco singing Britney Spears in my life until 2013.
When we do a top favorite scenes of all time, this one might still make it in there for me.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if this is in mine. It might be lower, like on the bottom 10, but it's going to be there. It's absolutely perfection.
Just him singing it, the way he sings it, the way he performs in it.
Yeah.
The cinematography, because I love the cinematography in Spring Breakers. Cut to all the other crazy shit that's happening
Just
with the other characters. Shoving somebody's face into cake. Jumping like in the air and like doing some weird shit. Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah, just beating up all these tourists. And then, a little bit into the scene, you get the girls singing background. Oh, man.
Wearing ski masks, twirling guns.
Yeah. Just.
Not to the same extent, but like how we were talking about, you can watch that scene from La La Land, and that's like, that sums up the movie. You could watch this scene here, and that sums up the movie.
And I had before. Like I say, I got a couple minutes. Like, I watch a couple of scenes like that, and that's one of my go-to ones. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter what mood you're in. Like, you could be in a bad mood. Like, oh yeah. Like, well, now I'm even more mad just because. But yeah, him jumping on the bed, just like shaking his head, with his grills in his mouth, Uzi or whatever he's got in his hand, just throwing people around, pushing their head into a cake. But yeah, just the way it starts out, like, oh, sing us something beautiful. Oh, you
want an angel if it ever was one.
You want to see my sensitive side.
It's amazing. Okay, so we got one that's the same, and then we have some other ones. So go ahead. Let me go ahead and say your favorite.
My favorite, and like I said, if we did one later, this would be in my top 10 favorite scenes. You're not gonna care for it because you probably forgot I told you.
Is this from Boyhood?
No, it's not. Okay. But you got the right director. This is the hotel scene in Before Midnight.
Okay.
Yeah. Just some of the best dialogue I've ever heard.
Well, that was a third of the movie, wasn't it?
It was a long scene. But it's just perfect. You've like it, obviously if you've seen this one, you've seen the other two, I hope. Yeah, maybe not.
Skip the other one.
I mean, you've been on this like 18-year journey with these characters. It's a lot like La La Land. Life's not perfect. And that's when they get. He's like, you find out that both of them have cheated on one another. I know that takes away from the movie for you.
It does. That's why it was lower for me. It's still a really good movie, but that did take away from a little bit for me.
5-star film. The whole trilogy is 5 stars.
I think mine's 4, 4.5, or 4, 4.5, 4.
Yeah, I think so. But this scene, like, I remember, I wish I'd seen it in theaters, but I didn't know anything about the movies at the time. I'd watched both of the first and second one, then I watched this one at home on my computer.
You're like, man, this looks boring. I'm not going to see this.
I just rewinded it and just rewatched the whole thing again.
Back to back?
Yeah, the third movie. I didn't watch the whole trilogy. Back to back to back. But like the whole hotel scene, like I say, the dialogue's perfect. It's like so natural, like for the arguments you would feel like you would have with somebody, like if you're at this point in a relationship. And the conversation you would have like for a divorce. Like with Ethan Hawke, I just love the line. She's like, she asked him about, have you cheated on me? And he's just like, he doesn't really answer it, but he's, I'm giving you everything. He's like, I got nothing else left to give you. I was like, oh man, that's not the right answer, but that's a good line. Like, like you find out like both of them had cheated on one another. So like, he's like, nothing, not perfect. He's like, but this is it. He's like, you want something else. He's like, you're not going to find anything different. But yeah, I could watch this endless amount of times.
I do love how it's dialogue driven, because that's a lot of my favorite stuff is dialogue driven, my favorite films and whatnot. So, and that's one thing that Linklater really succeeds on, I feel like, is dialogue.
Yeah, like one of my favorite screenwriters. The Before trilogy, Dazed and Confused, Everybody Wants Some, Last Flag Flying.
Last Flag Flying is best film. Definitely need to. If you guys haven't seen that, go check it out.
Check it out, but not before those others. But yeah, this is my favorite scene
The
of
next,
the last
sorry.
decade, but it would be in my top 10 overall too.
we're gonna have to do that list soon because I can't. I'm curious what your other is gonna be.
Well, you're gonna have to watch that movie again, so it can be on your list.
We'll see. Because I feel like if I watch that movie again, I gotta watch the whole trilogy again, and then it's
Absolutely, you do. That's expected.
The next one on my list here, it was actually I have it at number 3 because it was like pretty high up there for me, and I'm shocked that it wasn't at least your honorable mentions. That's the throne room scene in The Last Jedi.
No, I couldn't. It was one of those like it could have like I like the fight scene, like the throne room, like the dialogue's good, but that's my favorite part is just the fight, the way it's choreographed and stuff. So that's why I didn't make it. And then it's another one of those, like you said, it's like cut with other stuff. So
It is. So it was a little bit hard, but I'm considering.
you're just talking about it with them.
I'm considering him killing Snoke and the fight and them fighting the guards as one scene. But even if I had to take out the actual fight between Rey and Kylo and the guards, and I just left it as him killing Snoke and then them starting to fight the guards, I would still have it in there because I love the fact that he killed Snoke. I love the twist because I wasn't expecting that to happen in the theater at the time because it is so like off guard of what, you think this is the big bad of the trilogy. And
then you find out in the next episode.
I mean, to me, this is the last film in the Skywalker saga, so it ends perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you have this big bad, and you're expecting all this different stuff to happen. I didn't think he was going to kill Rey, so I didn't know what was going to happen, but I didn't expect him to ignite the saber and kill Snoke, and that to happen. So I thought that was incredible. The cinematography in the movie itself, but especially in the scene with them fighting, incredible. The sound design, the acting from Adam Driver as Kylo, Andy Serkis doing his motion capture of Snoke, everything was just perfect for me. Thought Rian Johnson handled all of this wonderfully. I just wish, in the long term, the whole movie had been this great. It's still a really good movie. I like the movie a lot. It's just
give the respect it deserves.
I wish certain elements had been changed in certain parts. I wish we could have just seen him do Kylo and Rey the whole movie and not had the other stuff in there because I don't think he really knew what to do with that stuff. But yeah, that's high up there for me.
I think it might be higher on mine. Like I don't mind. It doesn't take away from it, but it's where it's kind of a glimpse that Kylo's about to kill him.
Because he turns his fingers.
Yeah, like when the lightsaber starts turning too. Like I wish all that would have just been kind of cut. Because it's a surprise at the moment, but like it's. I wish it would just have happened.
Yeah.
But like I say that, I like the throne room, but like I say more is just the fight is really what gets me for that movie because I think it's probably my favorite lightsaber, if you want to consider it a lightsaber fight in Star Wars. You can or you can't. It doesn't really matter.
The Last Jedi has some really good scenes though. I mean, I had that one's on my top 10. The Kylo and Luke one, that's on my honorable mentions. But another scene that I thought about and didn't make it on there was the scene with Luke and Yoda. I love that scene too. Just talking about failure, and talking about people, being a teacher and how they are, whatever I can't remember the exact quote, but
Sounds like
I love it. Huh?
Sounds like you love it.
I do. I mean, just the talking about the failure part, but yeah. And then we have the next scene, which is my favorite scene of all time. So
it would be in my top 10 probably
of all time.
Yeah.
And
like I say, there were a few honorable mentions. Like I say, I mean, you can go ahead and start talking about it before I spoil it.
that's the ending fight. I didn't really know how to title this as a scene.
That's
but
what
it's
in fight scene.
the end fight scene of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt and the Manson family, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, Rex,
Tex. Yeah. Go ahead. What were we saying about it?
Just like we talked before, the scene with Leo in his trailer, like that would have been in my honorable mentions. But like I told you, I don't know. That's like 30 seconds, so I'm not sure if you consider it a scene. I guess it's up to whoever's making the list.
I mean, I would. That was in my long list. That as well as the Spawn Ranch scene. I mean, like, honestly, this is kind of like Three Billboards, but a little bit differently. It's my favorite movie. So I love like pretty much every scene in this movie.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
I do love every scene. I will say that Lena Dunham takes a little bit away from the scenes that she's in.
Terrible.
That's the only reason I said pretty much. But the scene of Spawn Ranch too, where he goes into George's the house.
Yeah.
That's high up there. That's incredible. The suspense that Tarantino builds there. The back and forth between him and Dakota Fanning in the door.
Yeah. Listen, Red. He's like, I'm coming in. This ain't stopping me.
How she just whoosh, hits the latch.
This, the sound of that was just perfect. The rat just laying there, just trapped. I thought that was going to be George. Like I thought he was either going to be dead or just in there, just kind of like tied up.
I thought he was dead, and I thought at the first time I watched it, I was so like scared that something was going to happen to Pitt in that scene.
Just get shot right in the face.
I thought he was out. I thought the Spawn Ranch was the end of Pitt's character. I was like, oh man.
Just forgot about the trailer. Like, nah, I remember other stuff. Like, nah, please.
Like it's all deleted scenes. They're all cutting it out.
Yeah, it could have went real bad for him right there.
But this ending scene, like, to me, it's just so satisfying.
Yeah.
Because not only like we know in real life what these people did, and seeing this alternate reality where instead of that happening, they just get fucking brutally killed.
They get what they deserve.
Exactly. And that's so satisfying. The fact, the whole movie, I'm like, oh man, I hope nothing happens to this dog too. Like, especially after Pitt brings them back to the house and you know something's going to happen. The fact that nothing happens to the dog, like the dog doesn't die, and like this happens with that, like the sound design.
Well, the score during that scene,
yeah,
was really good. But I mean the dialogue, but then it's also like a huge metaphor, like Brad Pitt as the stuntman just doing all the work, but at the end Leo gets all the credit.
Mm-hmm.
He gets taken to the hospital because he got hurt. It was oh, what happened? Oh, some people broke in. I killed them.
Horse their ass.
Yeah, 14 Fists of McCluskey. But it's just the perfect Tarantino metaphor for like what actually happens in movies, like who actually gets the credit compared to who does the work. Brad Pitt obviously is the best part of the movie. But even
the comedy in that scene too, from the acid to the way he's reacting to Tex.
Can I help you?
You were on a horsey. Oh, can I help?
I'm the devil. I'm here to do the devil's business. Like, just knowing that was like what they actually said, like,
right,
makes it even worse. Like, Pitt might not make it out of this right now. Because I mean, if anything, they could have stopped talking. He could have just shot him right there.
Yeah,
that's it. Nothing. No bagel for you the next day. That's over.
The fact too that the more each time I rewatched it, I try to like think of new things, and the fact that he was on drugs at the time, he probably didn't understand how much brutality he was causing.
Yeah.
At the time, especially he's like repeatedly just slamming this lady's head, killing her.
Well, she just ruined his white jeans.
Yeah.
You get what you deserve once again. But yeah, just over and not even on the telephone, but on like the brick mantle. Like I can't imagine how bad that hurt. Dog food can to the face. Oh, you'd have to kill me because I'd be in a real bad mood after that.
I know. I love that too. It's like the whole setup, like that he was gonna throw that can too. Like when the scene starts and he's still holding it, you're like, what's gonna happen? He's still holding this can. Is he gonna use it?
Yeah. And how trained his dog is. Dog's about to attack. It's like, nah, hold up, not yet.
And it's all set up beforehand in the movie. I'll definitely say, I know you haven't seen it like this yet. You got to watch it on film.
I'll rub it in, man. Yeah, got to watch it on film.
I mean, like, it was my second favorite movie beforehand because it was so new. I didn't want to commit to be my favorite movie yet until I saw it at New Beverly. Not only was it on film, but you also had just the speakers and everything in there, and just like the sound, the way the audience reacted to it. But it was beautiful, yeah. I feel like I was gonna say something else about it, but I don't know.
It would be in my top 10 overall. Like I don't know, it would probably be on the lower part of the top 10, but then I got to think about every other movie scene that I would even have come close.
I know for that list that we ended up doing, like I have two that's definitely, and the other one is definitely gonna be my 10.
That would be in my top 10 too.
And then probably that piano one from Spring Breakers. So that might be 3, and then beyond that, I have no idea what's gonna be on my top.
Yeah, my top 3 of this list would be, I mean, my one from The Breakfast Club. Yeah, I don't know. It would be a tough list to make overall. Like Boyhood, there were no scenes from Boyhood that made my list on here because there wasn't, like, it's the overall film for me, like not just scenes in that movie. Like same thing with like Mad Max, or they will, stuff like that. Like if we made a larger list, like There Will Be Blood. Although the About Time, the scene with him and his dad, that almost made the cut. Because that's when it gets real for me. But I know my top like 3, maybe 4 for this list would be in my top 10 overall. Because like I say, I got to add in the Breakfast Club scene, Jaws, some others too. It'll take a little while to make that list.
There's only 2 from this list that I know is going to be in that top 10. But there's so many movies to go back and look at and rewatch those scenes and see what would actually make it in there. I'm trying to think. Like, I know the scene from Empire probably make the cut or be up there.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm looking at like in my movies now, and I'm just thinking, like ones like here and there, like maybe the Christmas Vacation rant might be in my top 10. I don't know. It'd be tough. I don't know. It would be tough overall. It's gonna take a lot longer to make that list.
I like certain movies. I got to think about what my favorite scene of those movies are too. Like The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies. I have to like analyze, think about what my favorite scenes.
Yeah, because it's got a few in there.
Yeah. And then you got the 2000s, which had quite a bit in there too. The Dark Knight.
Spider-Man, yes, for you.
Super bad.
Yeah. Probably something from Adventureland. Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards, definitely. I mean, the opening of Inglourious Bastards is one of the best written scenes of all time. I don't know if it'll make my favorite. It probably will, but I don't know. But
I don't know. I'd probably put the bar above that one. Maybe I'd have to rewatch it and see.
As far as favorite or best?
Favorite. Yeah, no, not best. Well, it's like a little thing too, like that sometimes I don't catch. Like I saw the other week that it was the picture when he Hans like gets his drink in the very beginning of the movie, and he like holds the girl's wrist and he's like checking her pulse.
Mm,
I was like, oh man, didn't even catch that. Very sneaky there, Hans.
yeah. All right. Well, that's our top 10 favorite scenes of the decade. We'll have more lists like this coming for you soon. I think we'll do like a weekly. I want to start doing like a weekly like top 10 list. We've been kind of doing that with lists like that, but I haven't really called it anything. So I'm going to start this new series of top 10. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys.